nothing like a piece of homemade pie. No matter if you're laughing, no matter if you cry, made with love and care. Go ahead, take another piece if you dare. Oh me, oh my, say hi to Miss American Pie.
Hi, welcome to Stay Calm and Bake Pie. This is episode 5 already. I'm Beth Howard, and I'm the author of this cookbook, Ms. American Pie, and I'm offering free pie lessons to you from this farm in southeast Iowa, affectionately known as Camp Dough. And today I'm making chicken pot pie. Why am I making chicken pot pie today? Because it snowed a foot last night in mid-April, and how much more can we take, right? So I need some comfort today, and I can't think of anything more comforting than a chicken pot pie. It's like chicken soup for the soul in a pie. And because it's a snow day, Doug had time on his hands, and he graciously offered to help prep the vegetables for me. That's my least favorite part about making this pie, which is why I don't make it very often. It's like a lot of prep. You have to chop and peel carrots and potatoes and garlic and onion, and yeah, so I'm gonna make the pie dough and he's gonna do the vegetables, and I have to say this teamwork is working out pretty well. So I have a few shortcuts. I have leftover chicken that was in my freezer because I roasted a chicken probably 2 weeks ago, and I deboned it and put the leftover in the freezer so that I would have it for this day. And I'm gonna use just chicken broth out of a box because I didn't make my chicken the way I would make it for soup, for example, like, you know, boiling it and save the broth. I don't have homemade broth, so what? I'm just gonna use this. It's gonna be great. And remember, this is not about precision or perfection. This is just about using whatever you have on hand. Let's say you don't have chicken. Maybe you have something else you could throw in. You don't even need chicken. You can do a veggie pot pie. Let's say you have green beans instead of peas. Use those, right? Just mix it up. You don't have to have garlic or onion. This time when we're stuck at home and this whole, what they call it the great pause, right? I think it's a really good time to learn how to make do with what we have. I know that going to the grocery store has become a big deal these days, and they don't always have everything you need. And I just know when I go to the store, it's like it takes me 3 hours just to get the groceries and then disinfect everything before I can put stuff away. So this is a good time to really just, you know, think like, how would the pioneers have gotten through this?
Good afternoon. We had about 6 inches of snow. It's not a very good day for farming. So now you see a man in the kitchen when he has nothing else to do. I'm gonna peel potatoes.
I cut up some hot chili peppers and put them in the pot, some onion and some garlic. You know I like it hot, stir it up good, going left and going right for maximum flavor. Cook it slowly overnight. I'm a man in the kitchen. Oh, I'm a man in the kitchen. What my baby wants is exactly what I'm fixing. I'm a man in the kitchen.
He's a man in the kitchen.
Oh, well, I ain't no microwave man. Gonna do it in a minute. If you want it tasting good, you got to put some time in it. I like
Treat
to
for
cook
chaps
it
here.
slow. You know, simmer my favorite speed. Just tell me what you want. I'll get to all your kitchen needs. I'm a man in
He's
the
a
kitchen.
man in the
Oh,
kitchen.
I'm a man in the kitchen.
Oh, he's a man in the kitchen.
Move over, baby, stay on the road switching. I'm a man in the kitchen.
He's a man in the kitchen.
Yeah, when we finally sit down to soaking the feast, we gonna chew it real slow and grind in our teeth. Then we'll wash it down with some vintage wine. We'll be sniffing on a cork. It won't be drank before it's time. I'm a man in the kitchen. I'm a man in the kitchen.
He's a man in the kitchen.
Oh, let's move down the hallway. Just leave all the dishes. I'm a man in the
He's
kitchen.
a man in the kitchen.
Oh, I'm a man in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm a man.
Hey,
I'm a man. Oh, don't you know I spell the M? A. N. Oh, child. Man, man in the kitchen. Oh.
Okay, we're ready to add the peas to the other potatoes, carrots, and onions and garlic. Look at that spoon. It's winking at you. It just has one eye. It has a patch over the other one. Maybe stir these in. There, you can see the smiley face.
It sure helps to have a partner in the kitchen. Okay, I'm going to do a quick refresher on the dough, and this is the same dough I use for all of my sweet pies, so just makes it easy that way, right? You just have one dough for every purpose. It's I like the versatility of that. So I'm just going to do this really quick. If you want a much more detailed dough lesson, you can watch episode 1 with the apple pie, and I'm going to actually try to post something that's just the dough by itself. Maybe I'll cut that scene out of the apple pie episode and just make it a standalone dough prep. So, but like I said, I'm just going to run you through this really quick. 2.5 cups of flour. 1, 2, and as you can see, I'm not very precise. That's about 1/2 cup. And don't forget, we want our little bowl of flour for dipping our fingers. Did I already mention this is going to be a double crust pie? We're going to do 1/2 cup of butter. How about that? I'm really feeling upside down today. 1/2 cup of butter, 1/2 cup of vegetable shortening. You can use whatever fat you want. My butter is chilled. You want your ingredients nice and cold. I'm going to cut that up into some very good size chunks, and this is about 1/2 cup of vegetable shortening. Okay, so you might remember that we're just going to lightly work the Crisco and the butter in. The Crisco, sorry to call it Crisco, shortening, whatever. It's going to work in much quicker than the butter. So I'm going to just kind of massage that in. I'm going to take my chunks of butter and kind of squeeze them, let them fall back in the bowl. I'm going to fish around for the big chunks. Get my bowl centered there for you. All right, so I'm just fishing around to find all the chunks. And I want to leave big almond-sized hunks of butter in there. So if there's anything bigger than that, like a Brazil nut, I want to find that and break it down just so that it's a little bit smaller. Like this is too big. Okay, so it's very light. You don't want to overwork your dough. You just want to get your hands in and out because you want your ingredients to stay cold. That's one of the reasons why you want to work quickly in this. Okay, one more big piece of butter to break up. Okay, then I have my handy little pitcher for ice water, and I'm just going to drizzle in enough water. Found some big chunks in there. I have to get those out of the way. I'm going to just toss it in like pretending it's salad dressing. And I want to focus on getting this dough moistened. I don't want to focus on touching it and working it. I just want to get it moistened and get in and out. This is a really quick process. It's much quicker than people expect, which is, I think, the biggest problem people have with their dough. So again, you hear that ice cubes? You want ice water. You want everything really cold. And I'm not measuring because I can feel with my hands if it's got enough moisture or not. I'm not a big believer in food processors because I like being able to actually feel what's going on with the dough. Plus, I like the physical connection with the food, and I like the tactile experience. I think that we've lost so much of that with our machinery, so let's do things the old-fashioned way by hand. I'm pulling up this stuff that you see how it's sticking together on its own, and now I'm going to roll the other remaining dry parts around in that little extra bit of water I put in there. And now, as you can see, it's all holding together on its own. It's a little bit sticky, a little bit tacky, which is exactly the way I want it. It's still really cold, and you never saw me kneading it. I only just worked lightly with my fingers. And now I'm going to take my flour mittens, like you always see, and break it into 2 parts, 2 balls of dough. And then I'm going to take 1 ball, and if it's still sticky, get the skunk off my hands. If it's still sticky, I'll take a little more flour. That's always a really helpful thing. And I have my wrists together, and I am rotating it as I go. I'm standing on my tiptoes so I can get a better angle, but I am forming it into a disc. And you see how my fingers wrap around so that I can get a nice smooth edge. And it doesn't matter if it's got cracks in it because that is going to be rolled out flat. See, I'm doing this with my wrist together, and I'm not doing it like this because there's so much heat in the palm of your hand that you really just want to get it formed into the disc and stop touching it. And if your kitchen is hot, you might want to put that back in your refrigerator for a while. Otherwise, don't worry about refrigerating your dough. That's one of my policies, is that I skip that step, and really, in fact, it's kind of unnecessary. I'm going to flour my surface. I'm going to place my dough on top. Like I said, I don't need to refrigerate it. I'm going to put flour below it and on top, and then I'm going to start rolling. And I'm just going to use firm pressure and keep changing direction. Oh, and look, there's a hole. See all that butter, all those chunks of butter? That's what you want. You want it to have a sort of a marbled look. And see that hole that was there? I'm just gonna push it together, and then I'm gonna roll it out, and it won't matter, and it's gonna be my bottom crust anyway. All right, I'm gonna bring my pie dish over, and I'm gonna bring my little scraper guy over, and I'm going to lift the pie dough from one edge. If it's sticky, I will take some flour from my little dipping bowl here and sprinkle it on the edge and nudge it in there, okay? But you want to make sure that it's not sticking before you go tearing it up off the counter. So don't do that. Don't be in a hurry when you're doing that. Now I'm going to lay it halfway across in my dish and unfold it. That hole is still there in the middle. I'm going to show you that in a second. Doesn't matter. It's the bottom crust. See that? Still there. But now you see it. Wait a second. I'm going to move this around because I want it to be centered evenly in the dish. Okay, that hole's somewhere right there. Who cares, right? And see all that butter? Ooh, yum, yum. All right, this is my bottom crust. I'm going to go ahead and roll out the top crust and have that ready for my chicken pot pie filling. And if your rolling pin has gunk on it, make sure you stop and clean that off before. The other thing I didn't do because I'm rushing is clean this gunk off my hands. I don't want all that stuff getting on my nice smooth pie dough. So flour underneath, flour on top, and a nice smooth strokes. Keep changing direction, always change direction. Go around the edges, coax it into a round shape. Well, if your pan is round, you want it round. You can coax it into any shape you want, really. So go all the way off, nice, smooth, long strokes. You don't want to go back and forth and be aggressive. Just do nice, long, gentle strokes. And put some weight into it to really get the dough to stretch. Nice. Okay, so that dough is ready. Look at that. This dough is ready to be my top crust. So now we need to finish making the filling. Like I said, I haven't made this very often, so bear with me. All I know is we're gonna melt a little bit of butter. Try not to burn it like I'm doing. Then you're gonna add flour, about a 1/4 cup, whisk it in, 2 cups chicken broth, and then we're gonna slowly add some cream. Oh my God, I am making such a mess. No wonder I don't make this pie very often. Still gonna turn out fine because it's pie, even though I'm spilling milk all over my kitchen. Doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna add a little bit more chicken broth just because. I'm gonna stretch this a little further. You see, it's not about precision. And God knows if I can make this, so can you. So here are my vegetables that Doug so kindly prepared for me. And I haven't put the other ingredients in there yet, which would be a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of ground pepper. Oh, yeah, that's probably fine. 1/2 teaspoon of dried sage. This is sage. About 1/2 teaspoon. Looks close enough to me. And I think it's only a 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. Stir that all up. That's going to be nice and spicy. By the way, I've preheated my oven. I'm a disaster in the kitchen. I put all the spices in the cream sauce instead of with the vegetables like the recipe says, but didn't matter, did it? It's all going in the same pot in the end anyway. Okay, so I'm stirring all of that together. The cream sauce, the vegetables. I turned the heat off on the stove. And I'm going to add my leftover chicken. These pieces are way too big to go into the pot pie, and they're still a little frozen. So that's something I'm going to have to go thaw these out a little bit more. I don't have room in my pan for all this, so I'm going to go ahead and put this chicken in the bottom of the pie dish. Kind of like when we made the banana cream pie and you put the bananas in the bottom of the dish and pour the pudding over it. I'm going to try that. You know, my memory isn't very good, but I think this is how we did it at Mary's Kitchen. I don't think that we actually stirred the chicken in with the sauce. I seem to recall building this pie in layers like we did with her apple pie recipe. Ooh, this is going to be so full of chicken. And I'm going to use it all up because I can't refreeze it. This is going to be a big pie. I always remember Mary saying, don't be stingy. And now I'm going to load it with the sauce. And I'm going to try to mix that around a little bit and see if we can get some of that chicken mixed in down below. So that is going to be a much bigger pie than I expected. Good. Okay, and now we are going to put our top crust on. So I've got my crust right over here to the right, and it's unstuck from the counter, so I'm just going to slide the whole thing over and lay it on top. And then I need my scissors because this edge here is just a little, it's got a little too much dough. We're going to take the bottom and the top crust and roll it like we did like we did with the apple pie, and like you do with the single crust. You're going to trim it and roll it as you go, and it's really helpful to just work overhand at 12 o'clock. Get your hands at the top of the pie dish and then just keep turning the dish and not your body. All right, and just very nimbly with your fingertips, just roll that under, trim as you go if it's too thick. If it's not thick enough, then you can always add a little piece back in, just as an example. So you want it kind of uniform all the way around so that the edge of the crust bakes evenly. I am already looking forward to eating this. I love pie. People ask me if I ever get tired of pie, and I would have to say the answer is no. I guess I don't. especially when there's so much variety. You can put anything in a pie dish. Our rhubarb is starting to come up, but there's snow on top of it right now. It seems like it's going to survive. It's such a hardy plant. Okay, so I'm going to take my fingers, go under the edge like I do, get this little piece of carrot and pea out of the way. Okay, get my extra dough scraps out of the way, and I'm just going to probably not do anything with those tonight. We'll see. All right, so this is all uniform all the way around. I don't want anything hanging out underneath. And then we can do the dipping the old fingers in the, where are you? There you are. Dip our fingers in the little bowl of flour and do the crimping again all the way around the edges. With the thumb and the forefinger as like a clothespin, and then your action finger rocks in on the side. Okay, if it gets sticky, you put your fingers back in the bowl and coat them with some flour. Comfort food. We all could use a little comfort right now. A lot of extra comfort. If we can't hug each other, we can have chicken pot pie. It's like a hug in a pie shell. All right, I'm not going to put any egg wash on this one tonight, but I am going to put some vent holes in it just to give that top crust some way to let the bubbling filling escape. So we're going to put that in the oven at 425 for about maybe 15 minutes to get it to brown, to get that crust to just set. And then I'll turn the temperature down to 375 and let the filling bake a little bit more. When Doug gets back home from feeding his cows, I have another little job for him. Clearly, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was trying to follow the recipe, and I don't think the recipe is actually very good. So, but here's a little tip. Just taste it. Does it taste okay? That's all you have to know. Put more thyme in, or more sage, or salt, or pepper. That's totally up to you. You just lick the smiley face spoon and you'll know. Just cook to taste. This is what it looks like after 15 minutes in the oven. As you can see, my oven is scorching it on one side and it's a little bit raw on the other. Oh, and there's Miss Peanut, my helper. That's going back in, and I'm going to rotate it so it doesn't burn anymore on the one side. And here it is. So bring on the comfort, baby, because we all need more of that.
What can you do to go the extra mile to cheer up your world and make everyone smile? These little things go a long, long way, so let's make a little something good to eat today. There's nothing like a piece of homemade pie, no matter if you're laughing, no matter if you cry, made with love and care. Go ahead, take another piece if you dare. It's not all science and math, oh yeah, it's not as easy as taking a bath. Here's your guru, here is your guide. Come on over to Beth's house and step inside. All it takes is fruit and some flour. It's pretty quick, it'll take you about an hour. A pinch of this and a shake of that. You made a masterpiece of nothing flat. Oh, give yourself a chance to fall in love with all American homemade pie. There's pies that heal and pies of persuasion, a friendly happy pie for